I grew up in a small village in Africa where everyone knew everyone. Life was simple, but the stories we heard weren't. Some were just stories. Others, well, some felt real. This is one of those stories I'll never forget. Her name was Zanele. She was kind, always smiling, but you could see it, the sadness behind her eyes. She and her husband, Themba, had been married for 10 years. In our village, 10 years without a child was like a dark cloud following you everywhere. People whispered, said it was a curse. Some even avoided her. But Zanele, she never spoke about it. She just carried on like she didn't hear them. One day, my aunt told me the truth. She said Zanele had been cursed. It was the work of an angry spirit, she whispered. Apparently, when Zanele was a teenager, she had unknowingly offended an old woman in the village. No one knew what she did, but the woman was said to have muttered something under her breath. A curse. My aunt swore it was true. Years passed, and people stopped talking about Zanele's curse. Until one morning. It was a Sunday. I remember because the whole village was walking to church. Zanele was at the well, fetching water. I heard her scream. It wasn't the kind of scream you hear when someone is scared. It was deeper, like it came from her soul. Everyone ran to her. She was clutching her stomach, crying, and saying something we couldn't understand. When she finally calmed down, she looked at us, her eyes wide and terrified. "I saw her," she said, the old woman. She was standing there, by the trees. We all turned to look, but there was no one, just the wind in the trees. Some of the older women in the village exchanged glances, the kind that made you shiver. That night, Zanele fell sick. Her body burned with fever, and she kept muttering in her sleep. Themba said she was talking to someone who wasn't there, begging for forgiveness. "I didn't mean to," she kept saying. The whole village knew something wasn't right. Themba went to find the Sangoma, our village healer. When she arrived, she didn't say much. She just nodded, as if she already knew what was happening. She told everyone to leave the house except for her and Zanele. I don't know what happened in there, but we heard things, Zanele screaming, the Sangoma chanting. At one point, it sounded like two people arguing, but no one else was in there. By morning, the Sangoma came out. She looked tired, like she had been fighting all night. "It is done," she said. "The curse is lifted." Zanele didn't come out of the house for weeks, but when she did, she looked different, lighter, happier. A few months later, we noticed her stomach. She was pregnant. Everyone in the village celebrated, but there was still a fear in the air. No one wanted to talk about the curse or the old woman. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. One day I asked my aunt, "If the curse is gone, where did it go?" She looked at me, her face serious. "Curses don't just disappear. They have to go somewhere." I still don't know what she meant. But sometimes when I walk by the trees near the well, I feel like someone's watching,